Commander Jack Harper squinted at Europa's horizon through the reinforced dome of Outpost Galileo. The view never got old. Jupiter's massive faun dominated the sky, its swirling storms a constant reminder of humanity's tiny place in the cosmos. He sipped his coffee, real coffee, not that synthetic garbage a luxury shipped from Earth at considerable expense. "Commander, the seismic readings from Site E7 are off the charts," Lieutenant Penny Zhao announced, her eyes never leaving her monitor. "Either we've discovered a whole new type of cryovolcanic activity, or something weird is happening under the ice." "Define weird," Harper replied, setting down his mug emblazoned with Europa or bust. A gift from his husband back on Earth. "Weird as in not following any known pattern of Europan subsurface activity, sir. The energy signatures are structured." "Oh, indeed, yeah." Harper raised an eyebrow. "Structured as in intelligent? I wouldn't go that far yet, but—" The outpost's alert system blared to life, cutting her off. Red lights flashed as the AI's calm voice announced, "Unknown craft detected approaching Europa. Numbers exceed 50. Configuration unknown. Trajectory indicates deliberate approach." Harper's coffee mug slipped from his fingers, shattering on the floor. Sound General Quarters. "Get me Earth Command now." The next 17 minutes passed in a blur of activity. 432 scientists, engineers and support staff scrambled to defensive positions they'd never expected to use. Europa wasn't a military outpost, it was humanity's premier xenobiology research station, the crowning achievement of peaceful space exploration. "Craft entering orbit," announced Comms Officer Miguel Reyes. "They're not responding to hails on any frequency." Harper leaned over the communications console. "This is Commander Jack Harper of Outpost Galileo. Europa, we are a peaceful scientific installation. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." The response came not in words but in action. The first plasma bolt struck the north quadrant, vaporizing the physics lab and everyone inside. The dome's integrity alarms screamed as emergency bulkheads slammed shut. "What the hell?" Harper shouted, steadying himself against a console. "Get everyone to the emergency shuttles. Now." "Thou." Dr. Aisha Okafor, the outpost chief scientist, grabbed Harper's arm. "Jack, the specimen vault. We can't leave it, the research." "Isn't worth your life," Harper finished. "Go." "That's an order." On the monitors, Harper watched as alien ships, sleek, angular vessels with a sickly purple glow, descended toward Europa's surface. Their design defied human engineering principles, with impossible angles and surfaces that seemed to both absorb and emit light. "Sir, we've got a visual on the attackers," Reyes called out. The main screen switched to an exterior camera feed. The aliens stood nearly 8 feet tall, their bodies protected by what looked like liquid metal armor that flowed and shifted with their movements. Where faces should be, they had only smooth, reflective surfaces that occasionally rippled to reveal glimpses of something underneath. "Begin emergency transmission to Earth," Harper ordered. "Full data package. Everything we have on these beings." "Transmission initiated," Reyes confirmed. 30 seconds to completion. Harper keyed his station-wide comm. "This is Commander Harper. All personnel, abandon the outpost. This is not a drill. I repeat, abandon the outpost." But it was already too late. The aliens moved with horrifying efficiency, cutting down fleeing scientists with weapons that seemed to fold space itself around their targets. One moment a person was running, the next they were simply gone. No bodies, no blood, just empty space where a human being had been. Harper recorded his final message as the command center's walls began to melt around him. "Earth Command, this is Harper. Europa Outpost is under attack by unknown extraterrestrial forces. They've breached all defenses. They're methodically eliminating all personnel. This is not random. They know exactly where to hit us." The door to the command center burst inward, revealing 3 of the tall aliens. Harper kept broadcasting. "They're inside the command center now. Remember us. Find out who they are, and God help me for saying this, but make them pay for." The transmission cut to static. Back on Earth, in the darkened Situation Room of Earth Defense Command, General Darius Chen closed his eyes as the final transmission from Europa ended. 432 lives snuffed out in less than an hour, for no apparent reason. Signal analysis confirms. A technician reported flatly. Outpost Galileo has been completely destroyed. No emergency beacons. No shuttle launches detected. No survivors. Chen's weathered face betrayed no emotion as he gave the order, "Get me the Secretary General, and wake up Admiral Nakamura." Admiral Lydia Nakamura hated emergency meetings, especially ones that dragged her out of bed at 3 in the morning. She hated them even more when they involved the complete annihilation of humanity's most important off-world scientific outpost. "Let me get this straight," she said, addressing the Earth Defense Council gathered around the holographic table. "An alien species we've never encountered before just wiped out Europa outpost without warning or provocation." Secretary General Omar Tashkent nodded grimly. "That's the sum of it, Admiral. 432 dead. The attackers didn't even attempt communication. And we have no idea who they are or why they attacked," Nakamura asked. General Chen swiped through the holographic data. "We've compiled what little we have." The final data burst from Commander Harper included some visuals and sensor readings. "We're calling them Vraxians for now, based on the energy signature of their ships." Dr. Eliza Wong, the Council's civilian xenobiologist, looked troubled. "Their morphology is unlike anything in our theoretical models for extraterrestrial life. The way they move suggests an entirely different evolutionary path." "I don't care about their evolutionary path," growled Defense Minister Rodrigo Alvarez. "I care about their weaknesses and how we can exploit them." Nakamura shot him a withering look. "Before we start planning war, perhaps we should try talking. We've finally encountered another spacefaring species. Yes, they attacked us, but there might be a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding that killed 400 people," Alvarez scoffed. "I agree with the Admiral," said Tashkent. "We need to attempt communication." 3 days later, after continuous attempts to establish contact with the alien vessels still orbiting Europa, they got their response. A transmission, aimed directly at Earth's largest communications array in Kenya. The being that appeared on the screen bore some resemblance to the aliens from the Europa footage, but its armor was more ornate, with pulsing lines of energy running through it. When it spoke, the words came through in perfect English, though its mouth never moved. "People of Earth, your transmission has been received. Your outrage is noted. Your threats are dismissed." Secretary General Tashkent stepped forward. "We seek to understand your actions. The facility you destroyed was peaceful. Those people were scientists." "They were an impediment," the alien replied, its voice carrying an electronic resonance that made the hairs on Nakamura's neck stand up. "The location was required. The entities present were irrelevant." Nakamura couldn't contain herself. 432 lives were irrelevant. The alien's featureless face seemed to ripple. "You are insects to us. The Europa colony was in our way. It was removed, as one might remove a mound of dirt from a construction site." Tashkent's diplomatic composure cracked slightly. "We demand reparations for this unprovoked attack, assurances that no further human settlements will be targeted." "Demands?" The alien's voice took on an amused tone. "You are not in a position to make demands, nor are you owed explanations. This communication is a courtesy, not a negotiation." The screen went black. "Well," Nakamura said into the silence that followed, "I think we can skip the cultural exchange program." Later that night, Nakamura sat alone in her office, staring at the personnel files of the Europa victims. Jack Harper had been up for promotion next month. Aisha Okafor had 2 children back on Earth. Miguel Reyes had just gotten engaged. Her private comm chimed. "Admiral," General Chen's voice came through. "The Security Council has made its decision. We're authorized to respond with force." "Understood," she replied. "I'm initiating Operation Extinction. Activate Protocol Omega-7. "That's extreme, Admiral," Chen said carefully. "The Council hasn't authorized that level of response." Nakamura's voice was ice. They killed our people and called us insects, General. I'm not looking to bloody their nose. I'm looking to send a message to every spacefaring race in the galaxy, wipe out a human settlement, and we don't just take your ships or your colony. We take everything. Dr. Maxwell Thornton was not what most people pictured when they imagined a brilliant weapons scientist. For one thing, he was wearing mismatched socks, one with ducks, one with equations. For another, he was currently spinning in his office chair while balancing a pencil on his nose. Dr. Thornton, Admiral Nakamura said sharply, "Are you listening?" The pencil clattered to the floor as Thornton stopped spinning. "Of course, Admiral. You want a big boon, the biggest boon possible. Something that'll make the Vraxians go bye-bye in a most spectacular fashion." Nakamura pinched the bridge of her nose. "This isn't a joke, Doctor. We're talking about a strategic response to an unprovoked attack." "Oh, I know," Thornton replied, suddenly serious. "I watched the Europa footage. My cousin was stationed there. So when I say I want to make a big boon, I'm not being flippant. I'm being literal." He tapped his tablet, and a hologram appeared between them, a star, surrounded by planets. "We've identified their home system based on the trajectory of their ships. Gas giant with 17 moons. Third moon is their homeworld. Very dramatic scenery, I'm sure. Would make a lovely vacation spot if the inhabitants weren't murderous space jerks." "And you can destroy it?" Nakamura asked. Thornton's face split into a grin that would have looked more at home on a shark. "Not the planet, Admiral. The star." Even Nakamura, known for her stoicism, couldn't hide her shock. "That's not possible." "Oh, but it is," Thornton countered, pulling up schematics. "We've been working on stellar manipulation technology for years, theoretical stuff, ways to extend a star's life cycle, prevent solar flares, that sort of thing. But the same principles can be repurposed." He gestured at the hologram, where miniature explosions were now erupting across the star's surface. At the stellar destabilizer. "We inject specially designed nanites into the star's core. They trigger a chain reaction, essentially turning the star against itself. The resulting nova will cleanse the entire system." Nakamura studied the simulation. "How long to build it?" 6 weeks. Maybe 5 if my team skips sleep, which they will because they're all massive overachievers with questionable work-life balance." "You have 3 weeks," Nakamura said flatly. Thornton's eyebrows shot up. "That's not possible. Neither was destroying Europa Outpost. Make it happen, Doctor." As Thornton scrambled to begin the impossible task, across the facility, Captain Diego Fuentes was putting the Reapers through their paces. The elite Special Forces unit had been training for space combat for years, but never with an actual alien enemy in mind. "Move like you mean it, Rodriguez." Fuentes barked as his team navigated the zero-G course. "Those Vraxian bastards won't wait for you to find your space legs." Lieutenant Mira Rodriguez, floating upside down relative to Fuentes, saluted sarcastically. "Sir." "Yes, sir." "Ready to kill aliens I've never seen before, sir." Fuentes suppressed a smile. Rodriguez was his best, which gave her slightly more leeway than the others. "You've seen the footage. They're big, they're fast, and they can fold space to make you disappear, so you need to be faster." After the training session, Fuentes found Admiral Nakamura waiting in his office. "I hear you're turning my unit into alien hunters," he said without preamble. "I need the best," Nakamura replied. "Your team will escort the science unit to the Vraxian star system and ensure the stellar destabilizer is deployed successfully." Fuentes whistled. "Stellar destabilizer? Sounds like something from a bad sci-fi movie." "It's very real, Captain. And when it works, it will end the Vraxian threat permanently." "When? Not if." Nakamura's expression was granite. Failure is not an option. The next 3 weeks were a blur of preparation, trial, error, and occasional explosions. On day 5, one of Thornton's prototypes nearly vaporized an entire lab. On day 12, 3 of Fuentes' Reapers ended up in medical after a training accident with the new space combat suits. By day 15, it looked like they might actually pull it off. The stellar destabilizer, now nicknamed the Sunkiller by Thornton's irreverent team, was nearly complete. A sleek device no bigger than a standard torpedo, but containing technology that could unravel the nuclear furnace of a star. It's not the most elegant solution, Thornton admitted to Nakamura during the final briefing, but it will work. The nanites will burrow to the core, replicate, and begin the destabilization process. Once it starts, nothing can stop it. Overkill, don't you think? Asked General Chen, who had joined them for the briefing. They killed 432 of our people without a second thought, Nakamura replied. They called us insects. Some insects have quite a painful sting, General. The day before launch, Fuentes found Rodriguez in the ship's cargo bay, staring at the stellar destabilizer as it was being loaded. Having second thoughts, Lieutenant? He asked quietly. Rodriguez didn't look away from the device. We're about to commit xenocide, Captain. Seems like second thoughts would be the bare minimum response. Fuentes nodded slowly. They started this. We're finishing it. Are you trying to convince me or yourself? She asked. Fuentes had no answer. Welcome aboard the S Retribution, announced Victor, the ship's AI, as the crew settled into their stations. Today's forecast for our journey includes possible alien encounters, probable firefights, and a 100% chance of stellar homicide. Captain Fuentes glared at the pulsing blue hologram representing the AI. Can you dial down the commentary, Victor? We're on a serious mission here. I'm programmed to reduce crew tension through appropriate humor, Victor replied. Studies show that impending doom is better faced with a smile. Can we replace him? Lieutenant Rodriguez whispered. I heard that, Victor chirped. And no, you cannot. My neural matrix is integrated with the ship's systems. Delete me, and you'll be navigating home with an abacus and a sextant. Dr. Thornton chuckled from his station. I told them not to give the AI a personality, but knew they wanted it to be relatable. The Retribution's mission was simple in theory: slip into Vraxian space undetected, approach their star, deploy the stellar destabilizer, and get the hell out before the fireworks started. The reality, of course, would be considerably messier. Approaching the outer marker, announced Navigation Officer Prisha Khatri. Stealth systems engaged. The Retribution was humanity's most advanced warship, incorporating technology that should in theory mask their approach from Vraxian sensors. Should being the operative word, since no one had any idea how advanced Vraxian technology actually was. All hands, prepare for dimensional shift, Fuentes ordered. The view outside the bridge windows warped, stars stretching into lines as the ship entered the experimental fold space drive that would deposit them at the edge of the Vraxian system in minutes rather than years. That never gets less unsettling, Rodriguez muttered as reality reasserted itself and the stars returned to points of light. A dimensional shift complete, Victor announced. We have arrived at the Vraxian system, all systems nominal. No sign of detection yet. I suggest we celebrate with a round of drinks. We're not having drinks. Victor, Fuentes snapped. Your loss. I make an excellent virtual martini. Dr. Thornton moved to the sensor station. The star matches our profile exactly. Gas giant is there, with the 17 moons. Third moon shows significant artificial structures. That's their homeworld. And there's their fleet, Rodriguez added, pointing to a cluster of signals near the fourth moon. At least 30 ships, similar to the ones that hit Europa. Fuentes studied the tactical display. Our approach vector should keep us in their sensor shadow for another 2 hours. That's enough time to reach optimal deployment position. Of course, that's when everything went sideways. Captain, Victor said, his blue hologram suddenly pulsing red, we have company. Vraxian patrol ship on intercept course. They appear to be running routine surveillance. They haven't spotted us yet, but their current trajectory will bring them within visual range in approximately 3 minutes. Options? Fuentes asked. We could alter course, Khatri suggested, but that might take us too far from the optimal deployment point. Or we could shoot them, offered Weapons Officer Takashi Ito, quick and clean. Fuentes shook his head. And alert the entire fleet? No thanks. Yeah. I have an idea, Rodriguez said. Their sensors are looking for human technology signatures, right? What if we give them something else to look at? 20 minutes later, the Vraxian patrol ship was investigating what appeared to be a rogue asteroid emitting unusual radiation, actually a probe launched by the Retribution with a modified signature, but designed to pique Vraxian curiosity. I can't believe that worked, Thornton said as they continued toward the star. Don't celebrate yet, Fuentes warned. We've still got to deploy the package and get out. As they approached the star, the ship's temperature regulators worked overtime to compensate for the increasing heat. The massive furnace filled the viewports, its surface a churning sea of plasma and magnetic fields. Optimal deployment range in 2 minutes, Khatri announced. Stellar destabilizer prepped and ready, Thornton confirmed, running final checks on his creation. Victor. Begin countdown sequence, Fuentes ordered. Initiating countdown. The AI replied, T-2 minutes and counting. Would you like me to play some dramatic music? I have an excellent playlist for star destruction. Before Fuentes could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. Multiple Vraxian vessels approaching at high speed, Ito reported. They've spotted us. But how? Fuentes demanded. Unknown, Victor replied. But they appear quite unhappy about our presence. If I had to guess, I'd say they don't appreciate us trying to blow up their sun. Just a hunch. Time to deployment position, Fuentes asked. 90 seconds, Khatri replied. But they'll intercept before then. Fuentes made a split-second decision. Ito, prepare to engage. Rodriguez, you're with me. We're going to buy the science team some time.
The Retribution shuddered as the first Vraxian energy beam struck its shields. Captain Fuentes strapped himself into the command chair as his bridge crew scrambled to battle stations. Shields at 87%, reported Tactical Officer Raj Sharma. Their weapons are impressive, but we can take a few hits. Return fire, Fuentes ordered. Target their propulsion systems. I want them disabled, not destroyed. We need to keep their attention on us, not on what we're really doing here. The Retribution's plasma cannons flared to life, sending blue-white energy streaking toward the lead Vraxian vessel. The alien ship twisted in a way that seemed to defy physics, the beam missing by meters. They're more maneuverable than we expected, Ito said, adjusting his targeting parameters.
In the ship's deployment bay, Dr. Thornton and his team worked frantically to prepare the stellar destabilizer for launch. The device, sleek, silver, and deceptively small for something capable of destroying an entire star system, hummed ominously as final adjustments were made. A deployment window closing fast, Thornton muttered, hands flying over the control panel. If we miss this window, the solar flare activity will make a clean insertion impossible. Lieutenant Rodriguez stood guard at the bay entrance, pulse rifle at the ready. Then I suggest you hurry, Doctor. Those Vraxian ships won't stay distracted forever. Back on the bridge, Fuentes watched as the tactical situation deteriorated. 2 more Vraxian vessels had joined the fight, their combined firepower hammering the Retribution's shields. Shields at 60%, Sharma announced. We can't take much more of this. Victor, status on the stellar destabilizer, Fuentes demanded. Dr. Thornton reports ready for deployment, the AI replied, but we have another problem. The Vraxians are attempting to breach our computer systems. I'm fending them off, but it's rather like trying to play chess while juggling flaming torches. Can you hold them off? Fuentes asked. Wait for approximately 3 more minutes. After that, I'll need to initiate a systems purge that will temporarily disable non-essential functions, like life support, which, despite its name, I consider fairly essential. Fuentes keyed his comm. Thornton, you've got 3 minutes to deploy the package now. In the deployment bay, Thornton gave a thumbs up to his team. You heard the captain. Let's light this candle. The bay doors opened, revealing the churning surface of the Vraxian star. Even through the ship's filters, the light was blinding, the radiation levels at the edge of what the Retribution's shields could handle. Launching in 3, 2, 1, Thornton pressed the final activation sequence. The stellar destabilizer shot from the bay in a streak of silver, aimed directly at the star's core. For a moment it seemed like nothing happened. Then, a ripple appeared on the star's surface, quickly spreading outward like a stone dropped in a pond. "It's working," Thornton shouted, pumping his fist in the air. "The nanites are." His celebration was cut short by a massive impact that sent everyone sprawling. One of the Vraxian ships had broken through the Retribution's defenses and fired directly at the deployment bay. "Hull breach in Section 7. Victor announced. Emergency containment fields activated." "Dr. Thornton, status?" Thornton picked himself up off the floor, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. "We're okay. The destabilizer is deployed and active. Nothing can stop it now." On the bridge, Fuentes assessed their situation. The ship was damaged, shields failing, and more Vraxian vessels were inbound. "Katri, plot an escape vector. Ito, give us covering fire. We need to get clear before that star goes supernova." "About that," Victor chimed in. "Based on the stellar reaction readings, we have approximately 12 minutes before this star becomes extremely unfriendly to all matter in the system. Our current engine status gives us a 15-minute escape window at maximum thrust."
"That's cutting it close," Rodriguez muttered.
"Too close," Fuentes agreed. "Sharma, divert all non-essential power to the engines." "That includes weapons, sir," Sharma pointed out. "We're not staying to fight. Our mission is complete." The Retribution lurched as its engines fired at full capacity, the ship accelerating away from the doomed star. Behind them, the Vraxian vessels gave chase, their weapons still firing but increasingly erratic as the first effects of the stellar destabilizer rippled through the system's magnetic fields.
"They're still on our tail," Katri reported. "At this rate, they'll catch us before we can reach safe distance." Fuentes made another split-second decision. "Victor, prepare the fold space drive." "I strongly advise against that, Captain," the AI replied. "The drive requires a stable gravity well to function properly. The star's destabilization is creating unpredictable gravitational fluctuations. We don't have a choice. The moment we reach minimum safe distance for the drive, engage it." "Aye, Captain, preparing for what will likely be a very interesting fold space jump." And by interesting, I mean potentially catastrophic. The view screens showed the pursuing Vraxian fleet, now joined by ships from their homeworld as the civilization realized what was happening. Behind them, the star was visibly changing, its surface roiling with enormous flares and dark spots that spread like cancer. "Fold space drive at minimum safe distance in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Victor counted down. "Engage," Fuentes ordered. The stars around them began to stretch once more, reality folding in on itself as the drive activated. The last thing they saw before reality warped was the Vraxian star beginning to collapse inward, the prelude to what would become a catastrophic explosion. Then they were gone, shooting through the folds of space towards safety, leaving behind a star system about to be wiped from existence. The fold space jump was rough, to put it mildly. The Retribution emerged from the dimensional shift with systems failing, alarms blaring, and half the crew picking themselves up off the floor. "Status report," Fuentes demanded, wiping blood from a cut on his cheek. "Engines at 30%. Katri replied. "Life support stable, weapons offline." "Shields, well, we don't have shields anymore." "Victor?" The AI's hologram flickered unsteadily. "I'm operating at 71% capacity. That jump did a number on my subsystems, but I'm still prettier than most of the crew." "Can we see what's happening back at the Vraxian system?" Thornton asked, having made his way to the bridge. Victor's hologram shifted, creating a view screen. "Long-range sensors are functional. I can show you a real-time feed, though there's a light delay of approximately 7 minutes." The bridge crew fell silent as the image appeared. Where the Vraxian star had been, there was now an expanding sphere of superheated gas and radiation, racing outward at a significant fraction of light speed. The planets were already breaking apart, their orbits destabilized, matter being torn to subatomic particles by the force of the explosion. "My God," Rodriguez whispered. "We actually did it?" "The Vraxian homeworld?" Fuentes asked quietly. "Gone," Victor confirmed, along with every other solid body in the system. Population estimate was approximately 11 billion Vraxians, plus whatever was on their space stations and ships. The number hung in the air, a weight pressing down on everyone's shoulders. 11 billion lives, an entire civilization. On because they had killed 432 humans. Was it worth it? Rodriguez asked, voicing what everyone was thinking. Fuentes didn't answer immediately. Finally, he said, they called us insects, thought we were insignificant, that we'd accept what happened and move on. They needed to learn that humanity doesn't work that way. The response was disproportionate, Thornton admitted. But that was the point. To show any watching civilizations that attacking Earth or its colonies carries consequences far beyond what they might expect. Admiral Nakamura will be pleased, Sharma said, though his tone suggested he wasn't entirely comfortable with that fact. The journey back to Earth took 3 weeks at their reduced speed. When they arrived, they were greeted as heroes, the crew that had avenged Europa, that had shown the galaxy that humanity was not to be trifled with. Admiral Nakamura was waiting in the docking bay when they disembarked. Captain Fuentes. Mission successful, I see. Fuentes saluted. Yes, Admiral. The Vraxian system has been neutralized. Good. Nakamura's face showed no emotion. We've prepared a statement for the public. The official line is that we deployed a targeted weapon against the Vraxian military capabilities, and there were unfortunate civilian casualties. The truth stays in this room. The truth, Rodriguez couldn't help asking. That we committed genocide in response to what was essentially a border skirmish? Nakamura fixed her with a cold stare. The truth that we sent a message to the galaxy humanity may look small, but we hit back exponentially harder. The next species that thinks about attacking us will remember the Vraxians. And they'll think twice. Later, at the official debriefing, Fuentes and his crew recounted the mission in clinical detail. The room was filled with Earth Defense Council members, all nodding approvingly at the successful execution of Operation Extinction. Only Dr. Wong, the xenobiologist, seemed troubled. During a break, she approached Fuentes with a data tablet. Captain, I've been analyzing the limited data we have on the Vraxians. Something doesn't add up. What do you mean? Fuentes asked, taking the tablet. Their technology, their behavior patterns, they don't match those of a naturally evolved aggressive species. And look at this. She pointed to an image captured from the Europa footage. This symbol here on their armor, we've seen it before in ancient astronomical records. It's not a Vraxian symbol. It belongs to something else. Something else. Wong's voice dropped to a whisper. What if the Vraxians weren't acting of their own volition? What if they were pawns? Fuentes felt a chill run down his spine. Pawns of what? Of what? That's what concerns me. The symbol correlates with ancient stories from a dozen Earth cultures. Stories about the Shapers or the Architects being said to move among the stars, using lesser species to clear away obstacles to their expansion. You think the Vraxians were following orders? Fuentes asked, the implications sinking in. I think Wong said carefully that we may have just alerted something much more dangerous than the Vraxians to our presence, something that now knows we can destroy stars. And if these ancient stories are true, this entity doesn't forgive those who interfere with its plans. Before Fuentes could respond, Admiral Nakamura called the meeting back to order. As he returned to his seat, Fuentes couldn't shake the feeling that Operation Extinction might have been aptly named, just not in the way they had intended. From the depths of space, beyond the reach of Earth's most powerful sensors, something ancient and patient observed the destruction of its Vraxian tools with mild interest. It had been a long time since a species had shown such potential, such ruthlessness. The loss of the Vraxians was inconvenient, but ultimately irrelevant. There were always more pawns to be found, more pieces to be moved on the cosmic board. And now it had found a new species worthy of attention. It sent a signal not to Earth, but to the other side of the galaxy, where more of its servants waited. A signal that translated roughly to, I found them. The ones we've been looking for. Prepare the welcome. On Earth, in his quarters aboard the defense station, Captain Fuentes stared out at the stars, wondering if somewhere out there something was staring back. And if so, whether humanity's message of strength had been received as intended or if they had simply announced themselves to a much more dangerous predator. Either way, the galaxy now knew, don't mess with humans. We don't just bite back. We erase you from existence.